how AI is impacting jobs and careers. And so mostly focused on the design and marketing aspect of that, because we all know generative AI is going to take a bite out of a lot of designers' jobs.
Hello and welcome to the Digital Accomplice Podcast. Today I'm joined by Jim MacLeod, who is a veteran tech marketer. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to get warmed up here with a nice softball question about what would be your a recent content marketing success that you've enjoyed.
When I was at my last company, we ran a program where we were trying to build awareness for a new product. It was a startup. And so what we did was we targeted thought leaders, influencers in that space, and then made a list of the top 50 remote working, people that were really promoting that whole remote working nomadic type life, because we wanted them to gain awareness of the product that we had and have them promote it out to their audience. And it worked pretty well. We had good numbers, it really boosted our blog and web traffic.
Let's ask how much?
Some of it was up to 200% for the blog area.
Okay, excellent. That definitely sounds like a win.
Yeah.
So on the flip side of that, what would be sort of your biggest marketing challenge right now? What are you doing about it?
Right now, I have a newsletter, and I'm trying to help people understand how AI is impacting jobs and careers. And so mostly focused on the design and marketing aspect of that, because we all know generative AI is going to take a bite out of a lot of designers' jobs, right? Because a lot of that stuff, anybody can just type in a sentence and then get the result that they want. So what I'm trying to do is let people know what is happening, let people know how quickly it's happening, and then trying to help people either pivot out of their design careers or become skilled enough with AI and generative AI so that they can be the one that gets saved when teams start to get smaller.
Right. Okay. So aside from the video call that we're doing right now, what would you say would be a way that you're using video now, or how would you like to be?
It's something I need to use more of. And one of the things I'm thinking about with this new book that I'm working on is to have a little QR code at the start of each chapter that brings people to a video where they can watch a quick synopsis of me talking about that the information that's in that chapter or additional stuff. I think it's going to be useful because it's something I'll set up the link so that I can have a redirect so I can update that content as time goes on. And it's not like your typical book experience where once it's out there, it's done and you can't actually expand on it any further.
Right. Okay. And we touched a little bit about AI, but going deeper, how are you using AI right now, and then what's working there and what's not?
Yeah, I'm trying to use AI as much as possible, because the great thing with this journey that I've been on is to understand it. It's one of those things where AI can either be your best friend or your enemy, right? It's either going to enhance your job or destroy your job. And that's fully up to the person that's consuming it. So I would rather be, on the side where, it helps me out. So I'm using it to curate some of the content that I'm then sharing. So with my newsletter, there are a couple areas that I write myself, but then there are some areas where just kind of quick hits with recent news. I take the article link, I share that into ChatGPT. I've got a whole big prompt that gives me what I want because I just put it in there. I paste the URL in there. It then spits out exactly what I want. And it's a quick synopsis for anybody that wants to read it. And also what I try to do is I try to make images using Midjourney or any of the other systems to kind of spotlight how these things can be used. And I share the prompts with people. So the images that I have in my newsletter, there's a little prompt underneath it so that people can see what I'm asking in order to get that result.
Okay. So you've talked about a couple of the things that you're doing, like the book and the newsletter. So how would you say that you're repurposing content now, and what's working there and what's not?
I haven't been doing much repurposing content recently, but it's definitely part of my book launch plan is I've got 15 chapters, I think, in the book. And how can I break that down into different pieces that can be shared on my website, in my newsletter, on social media, or how can I expand on certain areas? And I think that's really where I want to, I've created all this new information. I want to be able to share that out as much as possible. There's actually a whole section in one of the chapters talking about repurposing and resharing that information, because you already did all the hard work up front. Why keep reinventing the wheel every single time?
Yeah, exactly. So, with this mountain of content that you're no doubt producing, how are you looking at measuring the content performance of what you're doing and what's working there and maybe what's not?
So my newsletter goes out on two different platforms. I use ConvertKit for kind of my own audience, and then LinkedIn just because that's a larger audience and it's easier to get distribution and awareness there. So ConvertKit gives me all the data that I need, where people clicked, mostly where people clicked and who opened it. The LinkedIn doesn't have anything like that. So I use just bit.ly links on LinkedIn so that I can actually see where are people clicking on the LinkedIn newsletter, because otherwise I'd have no idea who's seeing. Well, you can see views or impressions impressions. But it doesn't actually show you how people are engaging with it. So I'm trying to use Bitly to track that information there.
Okay. Sounds like you've got a nice marketing funnel set up now with a couple pieces of a couple channels of content. And we talked about a bunch of different things. And if you could kind of take all of what you're working on and you feel like you're learning right now in this moment, what would you say would be your biggest piece of marketing advice to marketers out there?
The big thing that I've seen really kind of working with the most successful marketers is kind of grab a space and own it. So one of the things I noticed with the newsletter was I started to go too broad with it. It just became an AI newsletter. And I realized there are so many people that are going this broad and they're so much better than me at this thing because they have more time. So what I did was I really niched down into AI impacting designers and marketers a little bit also. And so that has really helped. And that's actually helped my engagement a bit, because people know, they basically know what's going to be in each issue so that they tend to communicate more. And the responses I get are really handy because now it's like, hey, have you seen this article? Or I really liked it about this. And it starts kind of a conversation that may not be seen on LinkedIn or out in public, but I'm getting a lot of those kind of direct messages or response emails. So owning a space, being known for something, is something that's really important. Mark Schaefer's book about known, it really changed my whole mindset and was kind of the big impetus behind this visual marketing book that I'm working on right now.
Okay, so there you have it, marketers. Niche down. That is sage advice from Jim MacLeod here today. Well, Jim, thanks. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and thanks again for making time to do this.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so that's the end of our podcast. I'm going to just keep it recording and just ask you, is there anything else you would like to talk about? We could just, I'm kind of doing experiments now. I'm kind of giving people a stage to, if they want to talk about something, we could do a quick promo for your book or for your email newsletter, or we could have a longer conversation about topics your audience is interested in. And I could give that to you as a separate video. You could post on YouTube or wherever. It's sort of, this is me just opening the floor to what feels right to you.
Nice. Yeah. When you've done these in the past, are they usually 8 to 10 minutes?
Yeah. The video podcast was meant to be kind of an experiment of a format. 7 questions with a bunch of people means I can release a sub clip about topic 1 on Monday, topic 2 on Tuesday, topic 3 on Wednesday. And it's really kind of a use case for how to do this remote video and reformatting and kind of on multiple channels as just a use case for like, here's how to think about it. And here's what happens when you do that. And so ideally one day, once I have, and I do now have 10 interviews in the can, I can do a compilation video of here's 10 people, 10 marketers answering question number 1, right?
Okay.
That's a nice piece of content. If I had 100 people answering question number 1, that starts to sound like a book or research data. And so again, this is all just me trying to advocate for marketers using more video because I'm a 30-year veteran of video production. And I'm seeing the trends of remote video adoption, social media, AI editing tools like Descript, making all these things so much more easy. And marketers are still struggling with producing high value content consistently. And I'm like, hey, look over here. Here's a way to do it. And I can help you. So that's sort of my lane that I'm trying to, do thought leadership in right now.
Nice.
So,
it's interesting because the little video clips I was thinking making for each chapter, my next thought, and I didn't say it, was, all right, put it into Descript because I've heard about how it's great with just, reformatting and
text-based
and giving what you need. Yeah.
So, we could just do an experiment real quick. You want to just tell me about the book and just a 30-second or 1-minute overview about what the book is. And then if you want to talk about it on LinkedIn, you have a video that you can post to test and see what happens.
Yeah, that would be great.
So I'll just prime you to try and make it easy.
Okay.
Some people like that. It's like,
Perfect.
okay, Jim, you're writing this book. What do people need to know about it? Tell us about your book.
So the book I'm working on is called The Visual Marketing Advantage. And what I've seen is with the rise of AI and Canva and all these do-it-yourself tools, a lot of marketers are now being tasked with creating great visuals. This used to be the domain of the designers, and we've all dealt with designers. I was a designer for a long time, and a lot of marketers are now expected to know everything that these people with formal training and experience already have. So one of the things I wanted to do was consolidate down a lot of the knowledge that I acquired throughout my schooling, my education, and my career, and transfer that to marketers so that they know how guidelines should work, how eyes should flow around an asset. And basically, I want to write a book so that they can be better at creating visuals that are going to drive more impact and ultimately more engagement and conversions.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. So there you go. There's a test piece of content.
Nice.
Yeah. Anything else you want to test or try while we're here? I can just send you another clip.
I can't think of anything right now, but yeah, this is interesting. I'm curious to see what your consolidations, your compilations of answers are going to look like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot like this, except 10 different people.
Yeah.
So